Hey there, gang. I'm going to try to show you as much stuff as I can in a short a period of time as I can, because it's going back. And sometime during this video, the doorbell may ring and they may be swapping out this for the HX1, which I already have one, but they sort of do a lot of the similar things. I sort of wish the HX1 took advantage of the software that all the other Line 6, the Pod Go, the HX Effects, the HX Stomp, the Helix all take advantage of, whether it's HX Edit or Pod Go Edit. So the one thing this has going for it when it works is the Tone Print app. I say when it works. So let me talk briefly about that. And then if I can, if the doorbell doesn't ring and they take this back, and I had no choice. They either swapped it out. I love Andertons because I'm here in London. So I use Andertons. I use Gear for Music, a couple other places. Andertons is great. They didn't encourage the return. They encouraged a swap out. And frankly, for the purpose I was using it for, I needed a device like this. Now, like I said, I already have an HX1. I wish it took advantage of the same editing system that this has or the other Line 6 devices have. However, I use that one for the random sampler. I don't know what it's called. It's the sampler that just chops up your bits and pieces. I love that thing. I use it in all my Line 6 devices in a slot somewhere. But since it's dedicated to the HX1 I'm using, even though I've got a bunch of presets on there I like, and you can switch presets on the HX1, here it's not so simple. But I've dedicated that one to the random chopping sampler thing. So if I got another one, it would be okay because that other one can do a lot of the things this does. So there's a lot of misconceptions. First of all, let me say this. I heard the ad. It was on YouTube. It was their own ad. It was also featured, I think, with Sweetwater and a few other places that you can use your favorite tone prints in this. Not true. Not true. You can't go to those tone prints and import them into here because they're not X1 compatible. Yes, that's true. So when they say the Masao Amato Reverb, whatever, that guy, right? Like, he's a guitar player. He's really good. He has a really great sounding tone print reverb. If you go to his tone print in the tone print section, you can't import it to this. Impossible. Impossible. And by the way, to use this, I had to do a firmware update right away, which was provided to me by tech support. It wasn't available on their website. It wouldn't connect. It still doesn't connect to my main production computer. It will only connect, and I've tried it several times with many, many different cables. It will only connect with my personal laptop that I don't usually use for audio. So I have to go run downstairs, plug it in, and do all the little tone print. I have to bring an amp down there and plug in my guitar to this into the amp and do the whole tone print thing to get my favorites, right? Totally a drag. So it will not connect to everything, but you cannot use your favorite tone prints. That's a lie. They have, it's featured on their page. I'll show you later. Yonsei from Sigurus uses the X1 for his tone prints. That's a lie. He may use it for some things, but his reverb is not available on the X1. You cannot import. I tried it. Tell me I'm wrong, tech support. I had the worst tech support, which I'll also show you word for word what they did. I'll copy it and put it on the screen. The most insane tech support regarding the A-B presets. So there are 7 slots, right? And you have to manually turn to get the 7 slots, right? So here I have a reverb, I press that, and then there's the doubler. The doubler is in the device, it's kind of stock, as are most of the A-B slots are filled, and this is specified in the manual. However, the Mimic doubler is not one of the featured tone prints that you can change or tweak to your own liking. Kind of weird. Now, let's talk about the A-B thing, because that was my biggest communication issue with TC support. And this is something you should know if you want to get this. I own the X3. I own the X5. Okay, I am not a TC electronic hater. I love those 2 devices, though they could be better. They did improve the X5 in the last couple of years, but they both could be better. So let me show you something very important. When I got my unit, the only A-B was slot 7, which they call board 7. That was the only one where A-B was possible. All the other 6 didn't have a B slot, or you couldn't create one. And I'm like, that's weird. And so I'm reading the manual, and the manual says it comes, stock with A-B slots. Well, if it comes stock, then how can you not do this? And why is only one of them? Well, I went back and forth with tech support, and you will see this. The dude couldn't tell me why. I couldn't have been more plain, and yes, there might be a language barrier, but I couldn't have been more succinct about what I was trying to do. And I said, look, my number 7 board slot has the A-B. Why don't the other ones? Okay, here's the answer. You have to do it individually. So you would get the idea from the manual that once you put it into A-B, it's into A-B for every slot. No, you have to do it individually for all 7 board slots. And how you do that is you hold the switch and put the toggle up. And then you can go up and down through mash, A-B, momentary mash, momentary latching, mash back to A-B. Now, when you get to A-B, you let go of the switch while still holding the latch so that it reserves A-B. And then now, when you press it and hold it, it switches to a whole different effect. Now, I was trying to tell this to tech support. I was like, no. It says clearly that, all the advertising and the manual says clearly you can switch to another effect. And the guy was like, no. You can only switch to an effect that the parameters will agree with the parameters of what's in slot A. And I'm like, no. I said, on slot 7, which is the only one that was A-B when I bought it, I have the octave down, right? The sub and up on A, and I have a phaser on B. So are you saying only octave down and phaser are compatible on the A-B? Well, so on the next slot, yes, I have a whammy and an octaver because that's the same effect. But here I have a flanged vibe and a phaser. So I have a vibe and a phaser, which are 2 different tone prints. Anyway, on and on and on. Now you can put the same tone prints, like I have a chorus here and a chorus in A and a chorus in B. But, and here I have like the tremolo and on A and B. But, on slot One, I've got the doubler, and this is their stock preset. They have the doubler on B and a reverb on 1. So like it was just mind-boggling that their tech support was telling me that I was wrong when I'm like, no, it's your pedal. It says in your documentation that you can do this. And he's like, well, maybe it's not put well. Maybe it's like not clear. Maybe it's not written well. And I'm like, no, dude, I think you're wrong. And it took me I asked to do the return, and it took me another 12 hours. I don't know why I kept messing with it. I guess I just figured, let me just play around with it and create some more tone prints while I still have it so I can save them. I don't know. I'm a glutton. And that's when I figured out the toggle thing. And I'm like, oh my God, dude was wrong. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But again, the other thing that really hurts me at this is I bought it because I wanted that Matteo Assato, whatever reverb, because that was the one that I was going to just tweak a little bit to get it where I wanted, because I really like what that dude did. And that's not available. And to advertise that Yancey is using this pedal with his no, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. Maybe they expect to be able to do it in the future, but they're advertising it right now. It's on their page. I will show you a screenshot right now where they have it as Yancey advertised. And I'll show you parts on the Sweetwater site, and it's not Sweetwater's fault. They're just copying from TC Electronics. It's pretty clear. And then if you go to the TC Electronics site, they're telling you certain things that are just not true. And again, it needed a firmware update that I could only get, not from their website, I could only get from tech support. And then it will only work on one of my 2 computers. And one more thing, and I'll wrap this up. If I have time before the guy comes, I'll play some demos, because I did come up with a modulated cathedral reverb that's really cool, and some other things. In some cases, I got so frustrated, I just took whatever tone prints they had that would work on this, and just put them on here. I'll give you a great example. So I went and I spent hours. I want these hours back, TC Electronic. Are you going to pay me? So here's what I did, and you should be aware of this. I wanted to tweak a sub and up preset. So I went to X1 on the tone print. Okay, so here's sub and up octaver on the tone print. Okay, for the X1 specifically. And then they click on the little writing implement, so that means you can edit it. I spent hours editing 2 different tone prints to get them killer to precisely what I wanted for the sub and up. And every time I would save, it would default back to the original. Every time, no matter how many times I did this. It was freaking-sane. I was ready to smash it. If it wasn't going back, it would have been out the window. That's how frustrating this was. So not only are they telling you lies about, and I'm sorry, there's no other way to put this. Like, okay, if at the least they're gross misunderstandings or misrepresentations, but to me they seem like lies, because they're telling you, they're selling this to you. I'm going to unplug it because the power supply is rattling. They're selling this to you on the fact that you can take any tone print of theirs and bring it into the pedal or tweak it. And then I spent hours tweaking tone prints, and every freaking time it would default back. And I would save it. No. I would save it. It would say save tone print. So I tweaked every little fine thing. Save tone print, rename it. Yes, because I don't want this to happen again. So I kept renaming it, and then go to it in user, to import it into here because that's the only way you can do it. Once you save it, once you edit it to save it, it goes into the user's slots for the X1, right? Great. Go to the user slot, put in pedal, back in bold, put in pedal, right? Transfer tone print to pedal, and it would always default back to wherever I started with that tone print before I edited it. It's a freaking disaster. Honestly, I understand wanting to get this out before Christmas, but you're torturing your loyal users and you're not making fans. You're making enemies and your tech people don't know what's going on. It's just not a good sign. So anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Very, very frustrating. It's going back. I wish I could keep it because there are some cool things. I love the sub and up stuff. If I could get it to save what I wanted, at least the line 6 will, even if I have to do it manually without an app. And you know, I love line 6 effects, so I'll be fine. The line 6 is a little wider than this, so that's why I was hoping this would work. And it's also stereo, so that was another attraction. So smaller and stereo. But like the tremolo, there's a subtle random tremolo that's just perfect. And then there's a stutter tremolo I really like. Yes, the sub and up stuff, if it would work, would be great. Some of the phaser stuff, if you tweak it, and I did tweak the phaser stuff, and that did save properly. So that's what I was using. So maybe if I can play some of that stuff. And then, you know, the reverb stuff. The reverb's okay. People talk about the Hall of Fame. It's okay. There's something about it that bugs me, but if I can tweak the living heck out of it and get it closer to what I want, it almost evens out with more expensive stuff that I can't tweak. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't think it's all that. People talk about it like it's all that. It's just versatile. The vibe stuff, I mean, I don't know about all the vibe stuff. I've heard some people criticize it, but the flanged vibe and the flanged univibe are excellent if you tweak them. And guess what? I did tweak them, and yeah, that saved, and I pretty much transferred to that. So, there's some good stuff, but I didn't even bother recreating some of my favorite effects from my tone prints, like the hypergravity compressor. I have like a 3-band, multi-band thing that I didn't even bother. It's just too much of a headache. But I had a lot of, it was a lot of promise for this. I had a lot of hopes, and it just left me with 3 days of frustration. So it's just better to let it go. And the only reason I wouldn't want to, I'm okay trading it for another X1. The only reason I wouldn't is that the X1's bigger, and I was kind of hoping for something this size in that slot. But if the X1 works and this doesn't, well, I mean, wouldn't you agree that that's probably the better way to go? So anyway, if I have some time right now, I'll try to play a couple of examples through this before they come to pick it up. But that's all I got to say on that. That's all I got to say about that. All right, thanks for watching. Be careful. Be careful. I'm not saying this is wrong or won't work for everybody, and maybe they'll work out the kinks, but they shouldn't have released it this early if there were issues and their own tech people didn't understand the questions.